So if life circumstances are pulling you below water, to where you're having a hard time keeping your head up and breathe, what I want you to do is to reach out to the one who will always pull you up. Because Jesus will tell you, keep your eyes on me. I got you. So what did you think of the title today? Are you in over your head? Have you ever felt that way in life? If you're past 5, and then maybe even. Yeah, we've all had those times where we just felt in over our head. And it can be major things, or it can be something as simple as doing a puzzle, or writing an essay, or doing a craft. Who here does crafts? Who here's finished crafts? You know, I always say that. I love to do crafts. I love to try different things. And when people say, do you crafts? I say, oh, yes, I do crafts. I said, oh, wait a minute. No, I own crafts. I don't necessarily do them. Don't get them finished, right? I stuff from even before the kids were born that I didn't get finished. But sometimes even crafts can make us feel like we're in over our head when we try to do something that we've never done before. And I had to try to think what I'd said at the other church, because yes, I said I happen to have raised a daughter that did not take after me because she finishes her crafts. And she just decides she has this knack. You can just get on YouTube, or you can get on Instagram or whatever, and you can see something you like, and she can just look at it and go, I'm going to do that. And it turns out, so stand up, this is her last project. She just decided, I've never crocheted, I'm going to learn to crochet, and I'm going to do a cardigan. And it only took me 2 months in her not so spare time. I'm like, okay, that's something you would not see me doing, because I wouldn't be able to stick with it, nor accomplish it. I would be in over my head if I tried to do that. But what about the big things in life? The things that maybe just even make you feel like you've got a ball and chain on your leg that's trying to pull you down under the water. Well, today we talked about the story of the Sea of Galilee. And we're talking about water there, and we're talking about a storm next week. It's going to be a really exciting sermon. And we're going to look at another one that has to do with the same sea, and another storm, and a bigger issue on the other side. But this is kind of a teaser getting into it. So I wanted to put up a picture of what the Sea of Galilee actually looks like. Now this particular spot is actually the spot that Peter and Andrew were at when they met Jesus, when he was standing on that hillside teaching, and they had the miraculous catch. This is the exact same spot that when Jesus said, before he died, meet me in Galilee, nobody went till a week later. But then they went to this exact spot, and that's where Jesus met him again. How do we know that it's this exact spot? Well, if you look at the sea, you think of it just big, long oval. And at the top is Capernaum, and on the east side, there's nothing. Absolutely. At the time, it was pagan cities called Decapolis, because there was 10 of them. So Jews did not go to the east side at all, but the west side was all inhabited by the Jewish people. This spot that we're standing on is on the west side. Also, because of the topography of that lake, it gets really deep. This is the only spot where the boats can come in and go out, really. So we know that this was the spot. So this is what the sea looks like, and that's a ship that's a bigger one, actually, a fishing boat, compared to what the disciples would have had. Now, this particular sea is really odd because while it's big, we have some bigger ones here in America, but they get these weird storms that come in from the west. and they'll come in on just a moment's notice, and these waves get up to 12 and 15 feet tall. You have one of those come crashing down on your boat, it's going to be hard to keep it afloat. And so you did that, and most of those squallers came up at night. So for the most part, unless you were fishing close to shore, you did not go out onto that sea at night. Furthermore, if you were any kind of a good Jew, you did not go across the lake to the pagan side. That was an absolute no-no. Third of all, they're extremely superstitious. Leviathan, he's in the scriptures. He was the sea monster demon, and they believed he lived in the lake, and so you didn't go in the lake, especially at night, because you get eaten up by the sea monster. They also believed in ghosts. So there's all these reasons not to go into the lake at night or to go all the way to the other side. So how does our scripture start out? It says Jesus has been teaching on the hillside. He's been talking to the people. And he sticks around to talk to people, so he tells the disciples to get into the boat and do what? Go to the other side. I said, no. This is like a late afternoon. But it says the disciples agreed. Now, I don't think this is their first trip across the water with Jesus. So they did it. Jesus stays behind. And he talks to some of the people that were left over that had questions. But then it says something even more peculiar. He went up to the top of that mountain and he prayed. Now, he prayed there for a long time, because where do we find the boat? What time of the day is the boat out in the middle towards the other side of the lake? This is at dawn, which means Jesus stayed up there all night long. Huge no-no, right? They figured Jesus was going to be coming maybe on another boat. None of them scratched their head and go, so how's Jesus going to get across? They just obeyed, even though they had a lot of questions. So at dawn, what's Jesus doing? He decides to walk out to the boat. Now, what's the first thing that they thought of? A ghost, right? Oh my gosh! Because people can't walk on water. Now, that's why I love part of The Chosen. So far, this hasn't been, and they haven't got that far in the episodes. But there's a spot there that, I mean, they show the humanity side of Jesus, but this is one of the divinity moments. Because humans cannot walk on water. Only God can walk on water. And as he's walking, I love the fact that the only person that we hear from talking is Peter. Nobody said, hey, Jesus is walking on water. Or, where's your boat? No. It says, Peter says, Lord, if it's you, and not a ghost, because they're still all worried about the ghost part. He says, command me. And that's in the New International Version. I love that. Not just let me. Command me to come out to you. Is he really thinking? I mean, Jesus is the Son of God, and he's walking on water, but Peter's not. And Jesus says what? Come. He knew he had enough faith that he was willing to try it if Christ commanded him. So he says, come. And it says Peter climbs onto the boat and he starts walking on the water. Now just picture, if you would, if you were the other disciples sitting in that boat. What's going through their head? One, everybody's walking on water today. What's going on? This is totally weird. Or two, were they going, I wanted to ask Jesus if I could walk out on water. Do I dare? No, I probably shouldn't. He's going to sink. I don't know. Should I? Oh, I should have. I'm missing my time. Right? There's all this stuff that's going through their head. It should have been me. This is like totally awesome. He's walking on the water. And everything's going good until it says there's a storm. And that's my point. You go, no, wait a minute. How's there's a storm? Because he's walking on water now. That's my point. Those storms come up in a flash. And as Peter is walking on that water, it was still, and now this storm hits. As a fisherman who knows you don't go out on that sea during a storm, what do you think just went through his mind? Oh my gosh, how far am I from the boat? I'm walking on water. I'm going to drown. He takes his eyes off of Jesus. And it says he looks down at what the water's starting to do. And the minute he looks down, Does it say immediately sinks? No. Just like the card trick. He slowly starts to shrink. It's like, okay, how many of you have ever been at a football game and they want the loud meter, get it as loud as the train coming? That's kind of like, think of a faith meter. A lot of faith, walking on water. Oh, storm. I'm walking on water. Oh, the storm's getting worse. The faith meter starts decelerating and Peter starts sinking. Now, I bring these pictures up because there's a lot of neat pictures out there. Unfortunately, some of them are not really scriptural, but they're cool pictures. So Peter's getting out on the water. Here comes the storm. He takes his eyes off of Jesus. He's looking at the storm, and he starts to sink. Now, I love that one. But these pictures show him going down even farther. This is probably one of my favorite pictures. Unfortunately, it's not scriptural, because does it say that Peter is completely underwater at this time? No. Jesus wasn't looking through the water at him. In fact, Peter was more like this. And what does he finally say as the water's getting up to his neck? Maybe that's where we got to the terminology. I'm into my neck, up to my neck. He says, save me. Don't you love it that God responds to when we only have 2 words to say? Help me, save me, heal me, cleanse me, forgive me. And what does Jesus do? It says he grabs his arm. And I want you to think about this for a second. Peter's walking to Jesus. How close is he to Jesus when he starts to sink? Within arm's reach, pretty much. He's not 50, 100 feet off. Doesn't say Jesus sprinted on the water to go get him. It says he immediately reached out his hand and grabbed him. So even though he was that close to Jesus, his faith still wavered when life hit. I want you to think about in your life the times that have been very challenging. The times where, maybe before that, you were on fire. You were like, okay, for Lent or for the new year, I'm going to take on something new. I'm going to read my Bible every single day at this time. Or I'm going to pray every day at this time. Or, like last week, I'm going to be still and just be in the presence of God every day for this amount of time. Things are going great. You're defying all odds. And then the storms hit. Before you know it, you just didn't feel like praying. I didn't have time today to pick up the Bible. I want to be with you, God, but I couldn't do it this morning. I'll do it tonight. And then tonight happens. And then you fall asleep. I'll do it tomorrow. It starts wavering. The storms keep battering. The farther the way we get from God that we've moved ourselves, we start to what? Sink. The minute we take our focus off of God, the minute we lose sight of those dear scriptures that we take comfort in, we take assurance in, we take our faith from, on our own, what are we left to say? Save me! And what did Jesus do? He reached out and grabbed him. And then he says, "Oh, you of little faith." He's not chastising Peter. He's saying, you had so much faith and so much guts to get out of that boat and do something that none of the other 11 would do. You, my friend, walked on water, and yet you took your eyes off. He's telling Peter, I was here with you to grab your arm. But what are you going to do when I'm not here anymore and life's storms get really bad? You have to keep your focus on me. I've been thinking about this. There's one line, you know how they have those movies, there's always that one line from a movie that you repeat to fit almost any situation. Has anybody here ever seen the movie Night and Day? on Tom Cruise. It's a great movie. It's a kind of a spy thriller or whatever. But the gal he's with, he tells her, with me, without me. If you're with me, you'll be up here. If you're with me, you're not. I think of this with the scripture. Jesus is like, with me, without me. You're saying, with me, without me. So if life circumstances are pulling you below water, to where you're having a hard time keeping your head up and breathe, what I want you to do is to reach out to the one who will always pull you up. Because Jesus will tell you, keep your eyes on me. I got you.